Hello again, Facebook world. This is Emmerich V, choir director at West Middle School in Traverse City, and we are just about ready to get started. If you joined us for the first live stream, my apologies. We had a little bit of a hiccup there, so we're getting started again, and thanks again for joining us.
Can I welcome you to the stage? I'll invite. Glad you're that excited. That's wonderful. I'll invite Mrs. Wills to the stage a few times throughout the evening to share some feedback with our choirs, as we're kind of calling this a festival choir concert. In a way, we are bringing festival to us instead of going to festival. All of our friends at the high school and even over here on the other side of town at East Middle School attended the local district choir festival just a couple of weeks ago, and we are doing a little different format, partly in order to invite our sixth graders to participate in this amazing experience. Our friends across town in sixth grade were not able to attend festival, and we've never actually taken sixth graders to festival, I don't think, because there's just too many of them, which is a really great problem to have. But the festival setup is not really designed for 126 graders. And so we're thrilled to have them. I'll give Mrs. Wills just a moment to introduce herself a little bit, tell you a little bit of her experiences with choral music, as well as some of her other recent pursuits, and then we'll invite her back to the stage to share some feedback with the choirs, as we've already had a chance to work together with the classes a little bit, so we last for them as well.
Mr. D. It's really great to be here with all of you singers, amazing singers. It was such a joy to work with every one of these students a week ago, and I get to go back into the classroom again Wednesday. So for most of my career, I taught middle school and or high school vocal music, both in DeWitt, downstate near East Lansing, and also up here in Traverse City. I used to work with some of the high school groups quite a while back, and I was at West Middle School for a season, and now I'm in a season where I have a private counseling practice, and I'm doing some other things and working with singers in different capacities as an adjudicator throughout the state. I just directed the State Honors Choir a couple of years ago, and it's really fun to have the opportunity to work with all of your students in this way again. So thank you for welcoming me tonight, and we'll be excited to kind of give each of you parents a bird's eye view into what the festival choral experience is, which is a great way for students to work on their stage presence and to work on their expression and really prepare a piece to kind of be scrutinized a little bit as well as be built up and practice sight reading and working on their musical literacy. And this will go very quickly, but should be kind of a fun way for you to see a little bit of kind of what happens in the classroom too. It's just I'm doing something in maybe a little different way than Mr. D does every day, and it was such a joy to be in there with him and with them, because brilliance happens in that classroom every day. So your students are in really, really good hands. Thank you for having me.
All right, I'm going to remind our 6th grade students of a couple of our housekeeping items. As we would attend a festival, hopefully we would have the opportunity to sit and listen to some other groups perform. As an adjudicator myself, I just went down to the Detroit area last week to do a clinic with some choirs, and then spent about 7 hours adjudicating choirs in Standish on the northeast side of the state. One of the things that we are always aware of is what the choirs are doing off stage. Not just what they do on stage, but like when I had to visit the bathroom and there were some students in there talking about some of the other choirs. Hopefully all good things, not always. And what happens when they're sitting in the seats when a choir takes the stage, and when they see someone or they hear something, how they respond to that. And so I'm reminding you right now, our expectation as etiquette for a concert or a festival is that we are sitting silently. I heard some lovely squeaky music earlier from some of your chairs. We're going to ask that you try to avoid that squeaky chair syndrome. So just try to sit calmly in your chair, enjoy the show, sit back and relax and listen. And even if you want to close your eyes at some point, just hear the music. That would be better than whispering to your neighbor or tapping on someone's shoulder or kicking the chair in front of you, all those things that we are tempted to do in these moments. So just please try to relax and enjoy. These are teachable moments and learning moments for all of us. And it's been a while since all of us have been able to regularly go to concerts. Last December when we had our concert, it was just exciting to be together. And it was a little rowdy. Those of you that were here probably left and thought, wow, that was kind of crazy. And it was kind of crazy, but it was also kind of crazy that we were actually back together making music in person. And so we tried to kind of ease our way back into things. That was just an opportunity to be together and recognize that we've got some learning to do. And hopefully tonight is a big step in that direction. When we had our concerts at the end of the school year last May, and I had a chance to talk with Mr. Smith afterwards, one of the things that still hear that squeaky chair. Somebody sitting over in this region, you really try hard not. The Madrigals behind me in front of you are about to perform 2 selections. One of them is entitled Woven Together by a composer named Jacob Narverud. He's an American composer who lives in Missouri, and he is a very prolific, well-known composer around the United States and gaining popularity around the world right now. Recently earned his doctorate, and he's actually supposed to be spending a week with us next school year in Traverse City, working with all the choirs at West, Central, East Middle School, West Middle School. We are super excited to be able to host such an amazing guest, resident artist as they call them. We will also be singing a song entitled Ubi Caritas, which is Latin. We'll try to share some program notes after tonight's concert on the choir website. And again, that is a great place for you to find all kinds of wonderful resources. I'll have a few more announcements throughout the night as we have some transitions, but for now, without further ado, this is the Madrigal performing Woven Together by Jacob Narverud and Ubi Caritas by Ola Yelo. which our 3 performance adjudicators, would come to the stage and give some feedback. So we're going to invite Mrs. Wills to the stage to do just that. One of the reasons that I like to do this instead is oftentimes what happens is only the students on stage hear what the adjudicator has to say because they don't use microphones at the festival. But we're going to give Mrs. Wills microphones so we can all hear the secrets. So we get to let you in on the classroom secrets.
That was fabulous. Weren't they fantastic? The first thing that I would be saying to this group is that they sound like a high school choir. And the fact that they are a select ensemble of 7th and 8th graders, just 8th graders, unbelievable. You do not see this happening in the state of Michigan. And then I would tell you, you are part of one of the top choir programs in the country, and you are so lucky to be here and to have this amazing director. And I really mean that when I say that too. So, that was fantastic. One of the things that I really appreciated about you all is not only were you getting your notes and rhythms down and standing with confidence, I can tell you really enjoy what you're doing. But more importantly, you were making musical shapes. You were bringing some rise and some falls, like a wave out in the bay, right? And so those are one of the things that we can place a little bit more focus on today and maybe give you just a few other ideas. And I would always say to singers, take what works and leave the rest because your director is the expert, not me. And let's try a couple of things, shall we? Okay. Why don't we, let's work the piece we just did, Ubi Caritas. And could we please begin at the section, pick up to measure 17 when you're singing Exultemus. Let's just have you get into that for a moment. That's the spot. Could you all take like something in your hand and you're going to bring it forward, and like you're if you were at a traditional church service, you might see a bell choir and you would ding the bell and then you would make the sound stop dinging on your chest. So ya-da-dee-da-da-da-dee-da-da, so that we can bring out some more shapes with that. Can you all do that with Mr. D there? Ready? Okay, let's stop. That was better. Could you tell there were more shapes happening, audience? Thank you. Could we now pull back here? And obviously, certain parts are going to rise more than others in the bigger shape, but can you pull back more and make it softer when you're pulling that bell back towards you? Could we try it again? You might feel seasick, that's okay. Ready? What did you think about that? Can we hear from one of you? What did you notice in the group? Can we hear from you, please?
I actually thought that was really interesting. You don't need to like add movements into it, but I liked how that felt. Yeah.
So one of the things that we like to do with singers is get them to be more physical, because it helps just kind of connect in with some of those bigger concepts physically. Anybody else have a feedback on that? Okay, should we try one more thing, maybe? Okay. Could we go toward the measure 88 when we're singing? I'm on the wrong piece now. Shoot. Let's pop over to woven. When you're singing mezzo forte, medium loud, that's kind of one of the bigger sections of the song. And then you move to forte. So we're getting, may our fathers and our mothers know the love we share in birth. And then when you get to that bigger section, can you stand even taller and get a little bit of tension in your core like you're lifting up taller, okay? Here we go. Did you see a difference in how they stood or not really? I couldn't either. Could you watch the difference of how I'm standing right now? I'm getting kind of expressive about it, and maybe you shake your head, or you stand a little taller, or you have a little movement. That's okay. Let's try it again. What was a physical change or an emotional feeling inside of you as you got louder? And you could totally do way more than that, actually. Anybody? Somebody? Anybody? Thank you so much for being so daring.
I think standing taller allowed us to get more energy and to be more into the song and get the audience more into the song as well.
Great. So this would be another example, right? Ba-da-dee-da-da, so feeling the most important weight of the beat is going to be important. How are we doing? Do we need to kind of wrap? Okay. So I think one other thing for our sopranos and high singers, when you're getting up a little bit taller, we want to modify some of those vowels and create more cheekbone lift. Could every one of you please put both 2 fingers on each cheekbone and give me like a smile that goes vertical. And now do a surprise breath. That's going to help you hit your high notes because you're lifting and making space inside with your soft palate. Thank you so much. Great job. They're so great.
All right, 6th graders, raise your hand if you were silent on your way to your seat. Raise your hand if you're going to be silent on your way to your spot on stage. If not, remember, I may invite you to go sit with your parents and watch. So let's see if you can do it. Madrigals are going to exit the stage right now. Madrigals, front row. Tenors and basses in the second row. Step down, please. And go ahead and step all the way off, guys. And then sopranos and altos, if you would also, once they are clear of the stage, step down to the floor level and you can walk off that way. Go to the same spot that you waited there. 6th graders, raise your hand if you're ready to go on stage silently. Let's see if you can do this. All 120 of you silently walking on stage. Now listen, be careful before you go. You're not in order right now. Right? I understand that. When you go on stage, I want you to try to go to the same spot that you were in, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same spot. It's okay. All right? So don't have to talk to your neighbor about it. Just kindly and quietly, silently if possible, make your way to the stage once it's clear. Not a race. Take your time. Front row, go ahead as soon as it's clear. While the 6th graders are making their way to the stage, as quietly as possible. It's difficult to do, but they're working on it. I will be in touch via email with some more information about tonight's concert afterwards. So please look for an email with some details about the information on like translations, for example, or other information about their songs. And we also have some upcoming events. Our Choir Club celebration is scheduled for Saturday, April 23rd. Looking forward to that. I will get more information about that as well, and looking for lots of volunteers for that day. So if you'd be willing to hang out with us that day, or part or all the day, we'd love to have you. Most of you are doing a good job. It's not a race. Just take your time, walk quietly, see if you can find your spots. Good job, guys. We'll have end of the year concerts in June, so stay tuned for more details on those as well. We'll probably be back here at Lars. Hopefully not 90 degrees like it was last June in the gym. That was crazy. But right now, I think some of us are ready for some warmer weather. So I don't know about 90 though. 90 seems a little too hot. This is one of the reasons they don't allow 126th graders to attend festival. It just takes so long to get everybody on stage. But we are thrilled to have this many students singing in choir, and hope that they will all continue singing for many years to come. All right, I'm going to turn my attention to those that are on stage as we have our last few join us, and then we will share what songs we're singing. Not too bad, 126 graders without talking. We had a rehearsal this morning, and I was really proud of it. Sometimes a rehearsal with 120 students, it seemed like an impossible thing, but these guys have worked really hard this year. And the songs that we're going to share with you tonight, one of them, really thankful for the weather. And it was funny, in the first hour we actually looked up what was going on in the island of Hokkaido in Japan, because it's called Japanese Snow Song, and it was snowing here and in Japan on the island of Hokkaido. So we're excited to share a Japanese snow song with you. This song features a couple of our choir students from 7th and 8th grade, my son David playing triangle, and our 7th grade Abigail playing violin. You may remember Abigail from our December concert. She's been featured a couple times now, played the chimes in December, and so we're really excited to have both of them that. friends or listen quietly as they take the stage to sing a solo. I find that as an emotional dilemma inside of me. So if you're feeling the same one, I understand. And if you're like, let them scream, they should be excited. I get that. And if you're thinking, why won't they just be quiet? I get that too. And it's okay if you're feeling like really strongly on one side of that fence than the other. We're working on figuring out what these things look like. At a festival, normally, we would probably not scream and holler. But I also appreciate the enthusiasm that these students have for each other and how much they encourage each other. It takes a lot of confidence to stand in front of your peers, no less than an entire audience, and sing a little solo, even if it's just 2 measures long. And so we do applaud the efforts and the hard work of all the students. And as I told all the students that volunteered to sing these solos, by the way, if you are one of the people that volunteered to sing a solo, would you please raise your hand really high? We can give them a hand. As you can imagine, solo is just one person, but we're trying to spread the love and spread the wealth a little bit by having 5 people. There's only 4 right now. We'll have Max come down here in a little bit and close us out at the end of the song with a little solo as well. And we tried to pick new soloists from the December concert. I told the students that volunteered this morning, we'll have hopefully more opportunities at the end of the year for more soloists. Try to get new people involved each time. There's always going to be opportunities for solos in the classroom, but obviously concerts are a little more prestigious, and so we want to give them that opportunity if we can. And there's always more opportunities the longer you continue singing in choir. I never got a solo all the way through college, guys, so it's okay. You can still keep singing and not get solos. Basses don't get very many solos. I always wished I was a tenor. So, here we go. Would you soloists please introduce yourselves, and then I'll introduce the first person.
I'm Haley Martin. I'm Samantha Nelson. I'm Jed Durant.
Very good. And then we've got one more soloist. Max is back here. Max, raise your hand. Max will come out at the end and give us our last little solo before we all close the song. This is entitled Just a Single Voice.
It starts with just a single voice that lingers in the air. It reaches out to touch your heart. This It starts with just a simple voice. Won't you sing
The festival that I just attended as an adjudicator, the adjudicators were in the very back of the auditorium, and every time the choir would finish, one of us would be asked to come to the stage, similar to what we're doing tonight with Mrs. Wills. We would start the long hike, and everybody would watch us, watch us, watch us. About halfway up, we'd usually feel like saying something like, "I'll be there in a while." So that was my stalling. I think we're ready.
Weren't they fantastic tonight? I first want to comment on your professionalism, 6th grade. Wow. I saw almost all of you standing with your arms at your sides. Just a reminder, this is where we want to have our hands. And I maybe saw one person wave like at their parent during applause in the middle and things like that. And that's awesome, you guys. I mean, you're doing so well with just really kind of owning your posture and knowing that you're amazing. That's fantastic. Can you shake it out for a minute? You've been standing for a while. Shake your hands. Great, and now we're gonna bring it right back in. So, I love your attention to detail. I love your phrase shapes that you're bringing, the rises and falls like we did with the Madrigals. At the very end, who was our last soloist? Whoa, really good. Max, is that your name? Can you come forward again? I really loved how you just kept going, right? It wasn't the right mic, you just kept going, no big deal. He didn't even make us notice that there was an issue. That was so after Max does his beautiful solo, we all come in and sing, right? So when you do that, I wonder if it could be so much softer to make the audience lean in and really want to hear what you have to say like it's a secret, okay? So can we get into that?
It starts with just a single voice. It starts with just a single voice.
What was different for you at the end of the song? What What did you notice? Was it easier to sing softly?
The feeling that everybody around us like feel how we were feeling and how it's hard to explain.
Kind of like you were all doing something together. You were making a point together. Nice and loud, you guys.
I think that it was an interesting feeling because it's not as loud, so you can really hear everybody's voices
Yeah.
almost independently.
Okay, because it's not as loud, it's almost like there's individual voices happening. I noticed that you all had more energy when you brought it down and brought it in as well. And again, that gives the audience a visual cue. Thanks. I know there's so many great comments coming. Can we try the beginning of Japanese Snow Song? And one of the things that I think we could do to elevate this performance even more is light up our faces when we're not singing. So can you allow your face, can you take your hand like this and we're gonna make our face go dead. Ready, set, go. Nothing. And now we're gonna lift our hand up and you're gonna get your face really lit up. Ready, set, go. Wow, that was good. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? We're gonna go to nothing and go. Boring, boring, boring. Now light your eyes up and lift your cheekbones. Ready, set, go. There, very good. Okay, so we're gonna use that face when we start. And can you lift up your chin and move your head to one side of the room? And now lift up your chin and move it to the middle of the room. And now move your chin and lift it to another side of the room. So you're gonna kind of do a little bit of a bobblehead and feel really silly about it, okay? Let's go dead face, ready? Okay, and we're gonna come alive and Mr. D is gonna start. Ready, set, go! Keep it up, bright eyes. Can you move your head around? Okay, that was much better. Now, can we add some movement? Watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lift my whole body up and move it to the side. And up and move it to the middle. And up and move it another way. If you don't feel silly, you're not doing it enough. Okay, ready? Dead face. And now light it up. Ready, go. Ready, move your head to one side. And lift, a new spot. Yeah, find a new spot. Okay, let's stop you. Raise your hand if that felt really weird. Perfect, that's great. Mr. D, what did you notice in them when they did that?
It's more exciting to watch. It's a lot more engaging. And it sounded better too. So it energized your voice, not just your visual effects, but it definitely had a better visual effect. I see you moving intentionally, not just randomly.
And when you do that, people who are adjudicating, like me, we go, okay, this choir really gets what they're doing. Can we do one other spot and then we can call it a day, everybody? Okay, shake it out for just another second. And here we go. Can we start it? Snow is falling. Could you say for me, snow? Ready, go. Now say snow. Can you sing snow is falling? 1, 2, do it that way and go. Great, now can you take your hand like this and lift and go like you just got the best surprise you could get, and we're gonna go snow is, ready? Surprise breath. Woo! Could you hear a difference? Wasn't that nice? Try it. Get ready.
Thank you very much, 6th grade choir. Thank you, Mrs. Wills. We have one more special treat for you this evening before we are out of time. 6th graders behind me, make sure you're listening. The only way that students are able to sing songs like this at the level that they're singing is by developing what are called music literacy skills. And as you might imagine, that means that they learn how to read music. And so we're going to try to demonstrate that for you in a moment by doing our favorite activity called sight reading. Okay, you can stop pretending now. The game that we play in class, 6th grade, the game that we play in class is whenever I say the words of sight reading, they have to celebrate like it's a party, because sight reading is not that fun sometimes. And so if they don't act that way, then I say, well, we'll sight read all hour then. And they go, yay! Because they know that if they don't, then we actually will. And they love to, so we do sometimes sight read all hour. And they pretend to love it, because that's what makes us better musicians. So, I did not print this. You're all going to get to see what they're reading. It's going to be on the big screen, but they can't be there because the screen comes down and it would hit them. So, 6th graders, your job is to try to find a spot down here where you can stand. And audience, I will probably invite you to stand since they will be blocking your view, especially if you're in one of those rows just behind the front 6 rows. If there's not enough room, that's okay. Madrigals, I'm going to ask for you to stand up actually and spread out across that back row, and you're going to help us kind of lead the sight reading. Tenors and basses and sopranos and altos, if you would mix, please. So let's not have you all together, groups together, but sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses all mix in that back row right there. There we go. 6th graders, as quietly as possible, front row, step to the floor. Listening. Raise your hand if your neighbor's talking. Thank you for listening. In a normal festival experience, after the 2 songs have been performed and the clinician comes on stage, the choir would exit the stage and go to another classroom, usually the choir room or the band room, another large ensemble room in the school building, and they would pick up a book that they've seen for the first time, and sight read an example appropriate to their level and their voicing. In this case, we are going to invite all of our students to sight read the junior high middle school SATB primary example, which stands for what, students? S stands for soprano, A, T, and B. Very good. I like that the enthusiasm increased as it got to the bass part. That's great. Soprano is a voice part that many of you have been singing. Sixth graders, if you sang soprano on Japanese snow song, raise your hand. Excellent. If you sang alto on Japanese snow song, raise your hand. And how many of you remember doing both parts when we were learning it? Everybody's hand goes up because everybody has to learn all parts. Sopranos and altos and madrigals, stand please. How many of you have sung soprano at madrigals? How many of you have sung soprano at some point this year? How many of you have sung alto at some point this year? And tenors and basses, stand please. Whether it's only in warm-ups or throughout a song, how many of you have sung tenor at some point this year? How many of you have sung bass at some point this year? So most of them have sung both parts. Some of them have been almost exclusively bass because those voices have really changed quite a bit. But if you think about our warm-ups, you sing tenor every day. In fact, in the tenor bass choir, we warm up with soprano voices often, right? Tenors and basses. Just to prove a point, would you siren, please? Like you were a soprano. Just as tenors and basses. Ready? And. It's a lovely sound. It's a lovely sound. Especially when that voice cracks right in the middle and it sounds like they just choked. It's great. All right, so here we go. I'm going to ask for students to stand. If you actually, all students stand, please. And audience, if you'd like to stand so that you can see, I invite you to stand as well if you can't see. And that might get the whole place standing. Tenors and basses, you can sing do down here. Hand signs for do. Let's sing a scale from do up to so, please. And back. Time pattern, do mi so. And backwards. So we learn things like scales and chords and arpeggios and cadences. All of these different tools help us to sight read music more effectively and efficiently, which allows us to sing more advanced music, like you heard from especially the madrigals today, but even our sixth graders singing in two-part harmony on Japanese snow song. All those things demonstrate music literacy skills that they would not be able to sing those songs without that. I'm going to invite our sixth graders that are here along the wall that can't see very well to slide back or scooch in to the spots, or even down front here. There's room if you want to join your friends down in the front. Scooch in, maybe fill in the aisles there. Sixth graders right here. Sixth graders right here. Fill in the aisle. Fill in the aisle. Stand up. Stand up. So that you guys can see a little bit. All right. Exercise 1. We're going to count. Would you please count to 4? 1 and 2. Count to 4. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Now, so we're counting to 4 in each measure, but sometimes we don't say the numbers out loud, right? Because there are longer notes, like half notes or dotted half notes. Would you please tell your neighbor what measure you see a dotted half note in? Which measure do you see a dotted half note? And in which measure do you see a whole note? Tell your neighbor which measure you see a whole note. Good. Basses, would you please sing do again? Tenors. Good, we're going to sing on that chord. You can pick any one of those notes, sixth graders. Any one of those notes you want to sing, do, mi, or so. You're going to count the right number of beats. Here's your tempo. 2, ready, sing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 beats. Bravo, very nice. You can give them a hand for that. Nicely done. Exercise 2 is not just rhythm, but you also have to sing the what? The pitch. Pitch is how, what, or what? Rhythm is how, what? Rhythm is what? Long or short. Tempo is fast or slow. Dynamics and articulation. How connected or separated. There you go. Sing do, re, mi. Using your hand signs, would you please cite me line 1 or 2 of exercise 2? Everybody say exercise 2. Exercise 2. Good. Point to exercise 2, please. Do, then, re, then, mi for 2 beats 1. And here we go. Give me a hand again. Nicely done. All right, back to the rhythm only. This is a new rhythm, exercise 3. Everybody point to exercise 3. Say exercise 3. Back to that chord basis. Sing do, tenor, sol, sol. Here we go. Exercise 3. Counting, please. And tapping the beat. And ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Nicely done. Exercise 4, coming right up. We're going to just keep on trucking here. Sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses. Would you please look closely? Don't tell your neighbor anything yet. Look closely and see if you can figure out which 2 parts are the same. Make sure we're standing up tall. Let's not sit down. Cooper. Thank you. All eyes up on the screen. Which 2 parts are the same as each other? Jackson, which 2 parts are the same? You are right. Very good. Soprano and tenor. Big hand for Jackson. Anybody else? Anybody else recognize anything else? Sean, what do you recognize? They are actually the same, even though they look kind of different. They are the same because of what? Why do they look a little different, but they are the same? Reese, explain. What? You got it. 2 clefs. Yes. That's right. So which one's on top, everybody? Which one's on the bottom? Everybody say to the top. Bass on the bottom. There we go. So we got a treble cup on top, bass cup on the bottom. If you want to sing the bass line, look at the bottom line. If you want to sing tenor, look at the tenor line. Everybody starts on what? Sing no, please. Bravo, you are in the same key as we started. Bravo. Here we go. Hand signs, please. Your neighbor might be singing something different than you. Look closely. 1 and 2 and ready. Here we go. Okay, exercise 5, last one. How many parts? Exercise 5 has how many parts? 4. soprano, alto, tenor, bass, they're all different. So, we're going to assign you a part, even if you're not normally this part, this shows our flexibility. If you are over here, you can sing it in whichever octave is comfortable, but I'd like you to sing soprano, please. I'm excited about that. If you are here, we're going to sing alto. If you are here, we're going to sing tenor. If you are over here, we're going to sing the bass line. Madrigal basses, make your way over there. Madrigal tenors, make your way over here. Madrigal sopranos, make your way over there. And madrigal altos, make your way over here, please. Here we go. Okay, imagine that. Those starting notes, they're going to sound pretty familiar here. Basses, all of you over here. Look at the bottom line, point to the bass line, and sing do. Ready? Here we go. Don't sing it down the octave, but that's too low. Here we go, tenors, make sure you're standing tall. Sing so. Good. This is not too low for you most of the time, so we're going to sing it in that same range. And we'll keep going down. Sing so, fa, mi, re, do. Ready? So, fa, mi, re, do. And it's okay if you choose to sing up the octave like some of you did. That is great. Altos. Very good. These sopranos, what you're starting note. Sing your starting note and hold it, please. Basses. Tenors. Here we go. All four parts. Good luck. Do the best you can. Keep on singing. Hand signs, please. 1 and 2 and ready and go. Give them a big hand. If you can sit down silently. If you can't, just stand. Couple of closing comments.
That was really, really impressive. Wow, I can't believe that you just sang 4 parts and just no big deal. That's incredible. What I loved about what you did is you kept the pulse happening, do, re, or whatever you were doing. You were all pulsing that macro beat, the big beat. That was really good. I love that Mr. D asked you a bunch of different questions and you knew the answer right away. And I was also really excited about your enthusiasm for sight reading. He picked a part, you went with it. Some of you maybe aren't used to reading the bass line over here, and you did it anyway. That was incredible. Way to go tonight, everybody, in general, and way to have a wonderfully successful mock festival experience. Thank you for having me, and make sure you thank this person very, very much tomorrow and tonight.
Thank you. All right. The good news for all of you amazing volunteers that always help us get everything back on the big truck back to the school is we have another one of these tomorrow night, so we don't have to take it back to school tonight or leave it here. You're welcome. So, with that, 6th grade parents, thank you so much. Community members, staff members, administrators, really appreciate your support. It means so much. Singing is a lifelong gift. And these students are demonstrating the amazing things that they can do with their voices. But it is about so much more than just the songs. And hopefully you see a little example of that tonight, even with the skills of sight reading. But I really want you to leave tonight knowing that we're working on building more than just singers. We're working on building amazing citizens, amazing members of our community that we hope will go out and change the world for better. And so Choir Foot Celebration is going to be all about that team building, leadership skills, character building, and then we'll finish the year with some really fun stuff, some pop tunes and other acapella music at the end of the year. Probably get some dancing going on the stage in June. So look forward to seeing you again at those events. Have a great night. Please be safe.